definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva will be there. I welcome all of you, the whole world, to come and celebrate, enjoy not only the enlightenment ecosystem, the beauty of how it is getting revived. Be an insider for this great revival process. If you are an insider even for a startup company, you will understand not only the result of the company, even that being an insider is such a joy. Being an insider when it was happening is something extraordinary. So, I welcome all of you to come and be part of an insider of this revival of Kailasa, the enlightenment ecosystem, sovereign order of Kailasa, Kailasa nation itself. I request and welcome, invite all of you to become E-Kailasian, get your free passport and make billions receive this free passport. What I mean by the word E-Kailasa, listen intensely. Enlightenment ecosystem, literally enlightenment itself, in your own home, wherever you are. If you cannot come to Kailasa, it's okay. Kailasa can come to you. Kailasa coming to you is E-Kailasa. Kailasa is the totality of the knowledge I received from my gurus and practice manifested in my life, perfected by teaching millions of people from all cultures, time zones, backgrounds, genders, nationality, race, from every creed. So this absolutely perfected knowledge available to you, served to you in your home without even you moving out of your couch, free of cost. This from every creed. So this absolutely
modern science says all that
available to you,
whether manifest or unmanifest, is a probability.
Home,
infinite probabilities create a quantum field of infinite potential. An observer collapses the probability wave into a particle. Your intention thus creates the reality. Called the observer effect, it is the very act of observation that precipitates any reality into existence. Hinduism is far advanced than this primitive understanding in the modern day. Hindus know this field of infinite potential as Paramashiva. Paramashiva permeates everything, manifest and unmanifest. He is intelligent, compassionate, and a myriad other auspicious qualities. Our scriptures provide detailed descriptions of how to invoke His presence on the earthly plane, the visualizations that manifest Him, the mantras, sounds that invoke Him, how He looks, His various dimensions, the actions that please Him and have His blessings rain on you, the times in the past when He has manifested for us and led us through a breakthrough. Hinduism knows the art of communing with Paramashiva to manifest any reality we want. And when our effort and all the knowledge isn't enough, He Himself incarnates in human body to show us how, to liberate us, to show us where we are stuck, to take us to oneness. Pratyaksha Pada Puja to His Divine Holiness Paramahamsa Nithyananda, Paramashiva incarnate. Sit at His sacred feet. Let Him awaken you to your field of infinite possibilities, to your oneness with Him. Register now. Pratyaksha Pada Puja.
Kailasa is proper customized spiritual service helping you to identify your root patterns of suffering. We have perfected the science of helping every individual from every cultural, religious, nationality background. Helping you to identify, you will have your lowest reactionary assumption of suffering, highest awakened response, alive response for life continuously. I'll start from the basics and give you the best of the best of Vedas and Agamas. Listen. Purpose of life is enlightenment. Enlightenment means having the ultimate truth, the most powerful, ultimate truths as your operating inner software.
Nithyananda, Satya Nityarupa, Nithyananda, Satya Nityarupa, Brahma Nithyananda, Vishnu Shivarupa, Brahma Nithyananda, Vishnu Shivarupa.
The Aushadha bath really wakes you up, not only your mentally, but it feels like every pore of your body gets well woken up, because when you apply the Aushadha, it gets into your skin.
I bless you all. Let you all open all your three eyes and manifest.
नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वाधीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्याद्भिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भावाधीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nithyananda, we welcome each and every one of you joining with us, sitting with us, watching Nithyananda TV, Kailasa's official TV channel. Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasanidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, has taken the immense responsibility to revive Sanatana Hindu Dharma. As a part of that revival, Swamiji has been actively working towards creating the Kailasa nation for the past 26 years. Not only through the Kailasa nation, but also Swamiji has been through various programs, classes, sessions, YouTube videos, books, Satsangs. Swamiji is taking the Vedas and the Agamas, taking the science from the Vedas and the Agamas and decoding them, translating them into a language which modern man can understand. Among those many thought currents, many powerful cognitions and spiritual truths, one of them is the Vakyartha Sadhas. So what is the Vakyartha Sadhas? The Vakyartha Sadhas is a powerful cognition. It's actually a part of a four-step process which has been laid down in our Vedas, which has been laid down in our Agamas. So it starts with listening to the truth from the master. When we give our listening to the master and when we hear the truth from him, that is the first step of this process where the listening happens. This is where the first 25% of imbibing the truth starts with. It is very similar to how food is being consumed. When you consume the food goes inside your system and it just sits there waiting for the digestion process to happen. The whole science of imbibing all these truths itself is pretty much more or less like how we consume food and how the digestion process takes place. And the second step, the step of internalization, manana, where you sit and contemplate about these great truths within yourself. So this is where the digestion process pretty much starts. And contemplating with yourself, you are trying to understand the subtle truths of the sutra by yourself. The third step of this is the Vakyartha Sadhas. So exactly what is the Vakyartha Sadhas? The Vakyartha Sadhas is where the Khandana and Mandana of your logic happens. Khandana means the breaking of your binary logic and Mandana means expansion of your binary logic into the multidimensional logic. The final and last step of this process is living these principles in your life. No matter how much you talk, how much you listen, or how much you debate about and discuss, it is only when you live these principles in your life, you will have a true purpose and you will have the true purpose of these principles will only then have effect in you. Now, let's watch a short video. Swamiji himself explaining the importance of why the Vakyartha Sadhas is necessary.
Listen. Listen. Manana. Vakyartha Sadhas every day will give you a complete understanding Not only that, please listen, every time when you keep these spiritual truths in your inner space, analyze them, think about them, contemplate on them, every moment you spend on intra-analyzing these great truths, your incompletions melt down, you are living Advaita. Understand how much ever you struggle to find the solution externally, you will never find the solution what you expect externally. If you think, I'll finish all the work, I took it on myself or Swamiji gave it to me, and then I'll rest in peace. Never. Even after you leave the body, we have work for you. Understand, if you are expecting the external solution, no. You need to be told you are a fool. Wherever you really need to be told you are a fool, you should be told that is the real good thing for you. If you have some disease, you need to be told you have that disease. Only then you will understand the seriousness and start taking medication. Manana, intra-analyzing is really, really, really important. Because some disease, the life gets aligned to living Advaita with Manana. Shankara says beautifully, Shrute Shatagunam Vidyan Mananam Mananat Abhinitidhyasanam Lakshagunam Anantam Nirvigalpam. The meaning is Manana is 100 times superior to Shravana. Intra-analyzing is 100 times superior to listening. And living is 100 times superior to intra-analyzing. Nirvigalpa Samadhi, living Advaita, is infinitely superior. Please understand, you need to listen and internalize again and again and again. That is why I am insisting
your
on
aptitude.
Vakyartha Sadhas. Even if there are 2-3 sannyasis in your ashram, start the Vakyartha Sadhas. Slowly devotees will start gathering. Everywhere, in every ashram, every center, just like puja is compulsory, Vakyartha Sadhas should become compulsory. More and more learning, more and more internalizing, more and more completion. Understand, other than the spiritual solution, there is no solution. How much ever you try to find any solution for any problem, whether it is personal, professional, organizational, intrapersonal and interpersonal, Interpersonal is direct fight. Intrapersonal is cold war. You won't fight, but you will be waiting. See, it's like directly when you fight, it becomes like an equal fight. But I have seen many cunning fellows, they won't directly fight. They will wait. At some point, they will get that neutral person position. That time they will use that position and attack. When somebody else is attacking him and he is fighting with somebody else, he is a neutral person. Now come on, use that and attack. Violence. How much ever you hide, how much ever you keep inside, and how much ever cunningly you plan, finally it is going to stink inside you, not anybody else. Whether it is interpersonal problem, intrapersonal problem, organizational problem, professional problem, or personal problem, the only way anything can be solved is spiritual solution. Vakyartha Sadhas is the best way for a spiritual solution. Discovering spiritual solution for any problem.
Beautifully, Swamiji explained. Whatever the problem you may be facing in your life, any number of external factors will not change the life you're facing. It is only through spiritual solution, only through having the Vakyartha Sadhas to find the correct spiritual solution, will you be able to change anything you want to change in your life. Moving on, Kailasa nation. Kailasa is a nation created by dispossessed Hindus from around the world who lost the right to practice Hinduism authentically in their own countries. Though the Kailasa movement is founded in the United States and spearheaded by members of the Hindu Adishaivite minority community, it is created for and offers a safe haven to all the world's practicing, aspiring, persecuted Hindus, irrespective of race, gender, sect, caste, or creed, where they can peacefully live and express their spirituality, arts, and culture free from denigration, interference, and violence. The vision of Kailasa is enlightened living for all of humanity, which is rooted in the fundamental principle of Advaita or oneness, the idea that all beings can live in peace and harmony and that all human beings are equal and divine and can reach their highest potential irrespective of their color, nationality, religion, gender, sexual orientation, caste, creed, or race. Coming towards the topic of today's Vakyartha Sadhas, the problems of modern education. So the paragraph which we have here is an expert from an article written by a 7th grader about school. School has been known to educate people and help them get to a good college and then advance in their future. You know, your parents will most likely tell you to get good grades that will help you in the future to get a job. But that isn't the right way to proceed in life. School doesn't prepare you for real life, but actually makes you academically smart. These are things that you mostly don't need to know about. The world is changing rapidly, but school hasn't changed a bit. So this is pretty much more or less things which we already discussed in previous Vakyartha Sadhas, and many which you'll already know. The thing which is standing out about this article is that it's written by a 7th grader, by a student himself, and not by an expert who's analyzing the whole education system, or not by one of us. This is written by a student in the modern education system. 3 things which schools can pick out from the Gurukul system. So this article is by the Times of India. So the 3 things which they have mentioned, which can be picked up by the Gurukul system, which modern education can pick up from the ancient Gurukul system. 1 is the modern infrastructure. 2nd, holistic learning. The 3rd, relationship between student and teacher. So when you say modern infrastructure, it doesn't generally mean modernizing the environment or the learning environment of the school. It actually means robust learning. Robust learning of the students can only take place when focus is given on practical knowledge. But our present day education just believes in bookish knowledge and cramming, which is not sufficient. The Gurukul system focused on applying knowledge that prepared the students in all fields of life. Again, this is taken from the Times of India. This is not written by any of the Sangha members. This is not written by people who are in this field of promoting the Gurukul system and reviving Sanatana Hindu Dharma. This is taken by a newspaper. So this is just to highlight how the whole world is taking interest in why the modern education system is so backwards and why it needs reforming, why we should pick up a few things from the Gurukul education system, if not revive it completely. So the whole point of this presentation is to show that this is not just something which we are talking about, not just something which Swamiji is talking about, not just something which for the sake of reviving Sanatana Hindu Dharma people are speaking about. This is something which even other people, other so-called modern media channels and other outlets are showing or have started voicing out their opinions on why the Gurukul system needs to be revived. The second part, in their own article, is the holistic learning. The present day education mainly focuses on a rank-based system, which is driven by animosity towards their peers. More fuel is added by the over-ambitious parents who judge the knowledge of students only by academic performance. The application of the Gurukul system instead can work on a value-based system where focus can be given on the uniqueness of child so that they can excel in their area of interest. This will also build a good character which is far away from fierce competition and increased stress levels that usually lead to depression. The relationship between student and teacher. The need of present times is to ensure that teachers and students share a friendly relation and respect. This is as when the children feel secure and have trust in the caregiver, then they are most likely to emulate the same. This is present in the Gurukul system, which can be inculcated today through use of activities, training workshops to bond with students. All of this again is from an article written by the Times of India. This is taken from a different article regarding the education system, regarding the ancient Gurukul education system. The society and state couldn't interfere. Education in ancient India was quite different from the rest of the world back then. Society and state could not interfere with the curriculum or the administration. To get an education, a child had to leave home and live with a teacher in a Gurukul for the entire duration of his studies. So it was a very beautiful system which ensured that the education which is happening is only in the interest of educating the child. There is no vested interest which is being pushed onto the education institutes by society or by state. And this actually goes a long way in terms of dealing with corruption and how corruption in the education system can be avoided simply by not having the society and state interfere with the administration or the curriculum, having the teacher to have full control over his Gurukula and how he decides to teach. There was no fee. No fee was charged for education. In fact, the teacher took care of everything, including food, clothing, and housing. According to the system, physical labor was of utmost importance. So even if a child was interested in acquiring philosophical knowledge, he would still have to do some manual work every day. Debates and discussions were a part of education even in ancient days. So I think a lot of even people of our era will understand the importance of not just sitting in a classroom and learning, but also doing hands-on physical labor. The dignity of labor is something which I think pretty much all schools, even in our generation, all education institutes, even in our time, will accept, which is something which is required and which needs to be learned by each student for the sake of building the character. Again, this is all in speaking in the language of the modern India outlets, and in terms which society outside use. We have a small video, Swamiji, on the Gurukul system.
My Gurukul is 100% free. Food, stay, education, everything is free. Because Sadashiva says, Guru is supposed to beg and feed the disciples. I said, I may beg physically or in the internet, but I will beg and feed my disciples. My Gurukul is 100% free. Not only I am teaching them English, maths, science, I am teaching them true history. I am teaching them the real. Only thing, I am not doing the stupid things which you guys have designed for a generalized way. Understand? All generalization creates more blind spots. When there is a Google Earth available, Google Map is available, why will I make them memorize the capitals of all the countries and states? Macaulay's time it was not there, so you have to memorize. Capital of India is Delhi and capital of Tamil Nadu is Chennai. You have to memorize. Now there is a Google Earth and Google Map. Just Google it, that's all. They need to be taught Googling. So I am only removing all those stupid blind spots become part of the education because of the generalization. Understand? All generalization is faulty generalization. All generalization is faulty generalization. Jealousy, comparison is the byproduct of the faulty generalization. It is utter stupidity to give marks to human beings. Utter stupidity to give marks to human beings. It is like I saw memes in the Facebook. There is a fish in a pot, and there is a monkey, there is an elephant, there is a zebra, there is a snake, there is a crocodile, there is a tiger, and the educationist says, to have a fair game, we will have the examination. Who claims this tree first? Please start. That is what I call faulty generalization. What will happen to the fish if he comes out of the water to climb the tree? All generalization is faulty generalization. Understand? What I am trying to convey, I will give you the essence. Media wants me to do the charity of what they think as best. I am doing the charity of what is best. If you think food is the best thing happened in your life, you can do just Annadan. If you think education is the best thing happened in your life, you share that with the world. That's your charity. If you think clothes are the best things happened to your life and you share the clothes, Vastradana, that's your charity. If you think enlightenment and spiritual powers are the best thing happened in your life, you share that with the world. That's all I am doing.
Yes. Somebody beautifully explained the faults with modern education. How generalization, in general, any generalization is faulty generalization. Moving on. Today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Why should Hindus re-embrace the Gurukula system and support the Kailasa nation in building the Gurukula system? This is the topic for today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Before we enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas, I have a few devotees who are joining us from various parts of the globe, who have come today to be a part of the panel and to be a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas discussion. Let me now welcome Murliaya, joining us from Chennai, India. Sneeti Ashutoshananda, joining us from Montreal, Canada. And Renoshan Edmund, also joining us from Canada. I'd like to thank all of you for coming today and being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. So before we enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas, let me go ahead and introduce myself and have everyone else introduce themselves as well. My name is Sneeti Mangalananda Maharaj, and I'm a Valsant of the Nithyananda Gurukul. Prior to coming to the Nithyananda Gurukul, I was born and brought up in the United States. A little bit about me. So before coming to Gurukul, before even me and my family, we had met Swamiji. My dad was an open advocate towards preserving Sanatana Hindu Dharma and not allowing it to get diluted, and trying his best in his way at which he had known at the time to do it. And so I had grown up a lot in listening to my father and his discussions with his friends and his peers about how Sanatana Hindu Dharma needs to be protected, why it needs to be protected, and how without even our knowledge we are being targeted, destroyed, and conspired against. So growing up, listening to all of this, it actually pretty much, I think, set the stage of why it really clicked. And even after meeting Swamiji, I think a lot of understandings about Hinduism happened, and I'm really thankful to my father for setting the stage for my life such early on. So this is a little bit about me. We can go ahead with Nithyananda. You can go ahead and introduce yourself for all our viewers.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. My name is Shri Nithyananda. I was born in Montreal, Canada, as a French Canadian, born Catholic, and I studied mechanical engineering, a little bit of business and finance. I was also very physically active in sports while I was studying. Worked a little bit for a traditional Chinese Vietnamese doctor afterwards, and then lived abroad, taught English, and then from there I came to a realization that wherever I went, my boredom and tiredness followed me. So I got a little had to question myself, and this questioning led me to Swamiji and to Inner Awakening in Varanasi 2014. And it was a life-changing experience, no doubt about it. And then after that, Swamiji blessed me with the initiation of Krama Brahmacharya, and I've been with Swamiji and the Sangha for since then. So I'm very happy to be here tonight. Looking forward for today's topic of the Vakyartha Sadhas. Thank you for having me, Nithyananda.
Yes, thank you, Ashtosha, for coming today and being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. Renoshan, you can go ahead and introduce yourself next.
Yes, Nithyananda. My name is Renoshan, and I'm from Toronto, Canada. And I studied in software engineering and a little bit of medicine also. And just in terms of today's topic on the Gurukul system, actually, personally, the education system, education itself has been something that's really been close to my heart for a long time. And while in the education system, while in school and everything, obviously I have a passion for learning. But also you can see how, as you were sharing in the slides earlier, is the world is moving, but the system itself is sort of stagnant. And so spent a lot of time, life, and energy really seeing how we can improve this from the inside out and all these things. And ultimately, this was all before Swamiji. After seeing Swamiji, I realized, hey, we've already had the perfect system. We already had the system which actually withstands time. So why is this not happening now? And so, yes, this is just something where personally the bringing back the Gurukul system is too important, and it really is like a soft side personally for me. And so, yes, this is just a little bit of me. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Renoshan. Muliaya, you can go ahead and introduce yourself for all of our viewers. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. Murali from Chennai here. I've been with Swamiji from 2013. I came to Swamiji to attend a 21-day meditation retreat, which Swamiji used to conduct back-to-back throughout the year in those days. That's what it was called Inner Awakening. And it was truly Inner Awakening in the sense that I used to pride that I was very rational, very logical, and so in whatever I did, in my way of judging people, in my way of judging situations, but somehow something was not clicking and things were not going in my favor, and I couldn't actually understand where exactly the fault lay, and I was always blaming somebody else, something else. It was my brother who pushed me to Swamiji, and back then I did not even respect Swamiji as much as I did. Nowhere there. Like I demanded to know, come on, what will this sannyasi sitting somewhere in some corner of the world know about me, and why would I even share any personal problems with him? What has he to do with me? That is the way I was thinking. And I realized what a stupid context I held. Now, looking at myself, I was laughing at my previous self then. And a lot of clicks, a lot of ideas have, lot of clicks have happened, a lot of miracles have happened, and I can't thank Swamiji in proper words to express what he has done to me and the way he has made me realize many things in life. And today's topic is one of my pet areas, I should say, because it's to do with education. I'm a teacher and a trainer by profile. I think I have a good deed to share today. So let's see what ensues. Thank you for the mic time.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. So entering to the Vakyartha Sadhas right now. Coming to today's question, why should Hindus re-embrace the Gurukul system and support the Kailasa nation in building the Gurukula system? I think this question should be rephrased. We've gone over a lot of facts of why it needs to be re-embraced, and not just from what Swamiji has shared with all of us, but from seeing how other media outlets and how students themselves feel about the education system. I think the better question would be, how should Hindus re-embrace the Gurukul system and support the Kailasa nation in building the Gurukula system? So I think one of the initial ways, the first ways to do this, how immediately, something which we can start implementing is by starting with a weekend class. In the weekends, at least at least on weekends, going and staying with the Acharya and learning a specific skill set. For example, if you want to be let's say a carpenter, then staying with the Acharya and learning carpentry for those few days. I think these are some of the initial ways and the first few ways which we can help in showing that the Gurukula system actually works. And it's not just this, even the whole concept of internship in a lot of schools and colleges, which happens where you go and you intern and it looks good on your high school application or something. So the whole concept of the Gurukula system exists already. It already exists actually in such places. It is like how Harvard University and other educational institutes take the Bhagavad Gita and teach it as a part of the syllabus. So because it works naturally, all these high-profile education institutes automatically pick them up and implement them in the syllabus. So the same way, the Gurukula system is actually, if you see, is actually is very much part of the modern education system. We just need to become a mainstream education system, not just something which happens as an extracurricular. It needs to become something which is mandated. And an immediate way to do this is pretty much showing the importance, taking their own education methods. They have the classroom education method and they have the internship education method, taking their own methods and how they have implemented the education and showing them their own results, how internship works much better than the modern, than the classroom education system. So pretty much taking their own facts and presenting it back to them and showing how this is much more efficient method, and taking it from there on how we can implement this and make it a more mainstream education service. So this is my initial take on today's question. I think Ashutosh Ananda, you can pick it up from here.
Yes. The gist of my initial take is that I'll expand on why and how maybe a little bit later. But how to bring the Gurukul system back by giving it by successfully establishing adinams or even centers or who are recognized as legal entities and who offer this education system. I think the political legitimacy is of importance, is of utmost importance in order to really push this lifestyle towards something which has a possibility of becoming mainstream. So really working on to finding ways of establishing legal, political legitimacy so that it is recognized as per what the general society, general humanity, society of humanity recognizes as well. Not that we should compromise on what we are doing. We should not compromise, but we should find a meeting ground and get it recognized so that it becomes mainstream. So that would be my initial take. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Ranashan, you can go ahead.
Yeah, just to actually expand on this is ultimately the world wants a product that works, that they know it works. Once you know something works, then it'll skyrocket. So bringing the legitimacy to Gurukul and starting off with either like the weekend classes or online classes, these kinds of things, having this as an infrastructure, as a stable infrastructure. a stable infrastructure where also the effects are able to be, I can say, seen. Because one thing that I can really say about the Gurukul system is it brings a certain kind of activism to whoever's involved in the Gurukul. Meaning maybe they'll make videos or they'll get involved with their own life, but like some way, somehow the activism will start happening and reaching out to the world will start happening. Once this starts to happen, it's a very easy, I can even say it's like a kind of comparative study can be done saying, okay, this is what's happening in a district. A district full of schools is having this amount of classes, this amount of classrooms, this and that, and these amount of people are now being active. This percentage of people out of everybody in the district. Same way, one Gurukul class. Let's see how much the percentage of the activism is there. Immediately you'll see the Gurukul system, I can say, is near 99% activism because everybody starts to contribute. This is the very base of Gurukul. Contributing, life is for others, is the base of Gurukul. Life is for others. Meanwhile, the whole, I can say, at least my experience of the standard education system is you're here for yourself. So you have to make it work. It's basically a survival game instead of an enriching thing. And because it's survival, on different ways, either on the amount of money invested in school or your future, I can say like this whole idea of like, oh, if you don't do well, then like there's a whole like you're building your future. So there's this kind of risk involved. There's all these things involved. But when you, just to sort of bring it back to where I was sharing is having the context where we can actually show to the world, this is Gurukul. This is the impact of Gurukul. We're showing it works. We're showing its legitimacy. Having this as a standard structure and seeing a way where others can easily see, okay, this is what's going on. This is why it's working. How can we do this and integrate this into our own system? Because modern education won't just like that fall apart, obviously. It won't just like that want to like step aside and let new things happen. No, it's going to be a transition. So how can we get involved in letting the transition happen? This is, I'm seeing, is the main thing that needs to happen. And having the political legitimacy, having established classes, whether it's online classes or weekend classes, having that stable and having that established so that we can actually see, okay, how can we integrate this with that? And start the, not even emerging, but start the next level of growth to happen. Having a platform where we can see the impact, where we can see the involvement, where we can really, the measurable impact is there. Once the measurable impact is there, it's very easy to pick up and very easy on a wide audience to see, oh, okay, this does work. Oh, okay, this is amazing. Parents naturally always want the best for their kids. And so once they see, like, that's why like a lot of the, especially in Canada, there's the Montessori schools, which is like I can say like a kind of like a high standard school. And there's a price label on it, but it's one of these things where it's very much people want to be involved in that because they want to be able to give the kids the best of what they have. Same way, if we can establish a space where the best of what we have, basically if we can just establish the impact of Gurukul on a scale where it's measurable and it's reproducible, which is what's already happening, then automatically the work will pick up for itself. So this is just the main click that's happening here is main thing is having a way where others can easily see the impact in front of their very eyes and very easily see, oh, you know what, this works, this makes sense. On the very, I can even say almost like on an obvious scale. This is the main thing that needs to happen because as soon as that happens, then it becomes, I can even say trendy. It becomes trendy of like, oh, you know what? Hey, the Gurukul is opening up. Let's go there. Let's immediately rush there. And then once the demand for Gurukul is there, then Gurukul by nature, it has to flower. Once the demand for Gurukul is there, then how to say? once the demand for Gurukul is there, the natural flow of life starts to happen. The natural growth for life starts to happen. Actually, the organic life starts to happen is the main thing. This is the click that's happening here.
Yes, thank you so much, Roshan. Mulleya, please go ahead and share your initial take on this question.
Thank you, Maharaj. See, the modern education system actually has got a very wide range of choices for all sorts of career vocations. So I think it is quite good as such. Fine, yes, it is competitive, but it is also choice offering. So I don't understand why it should be condemned. Maybe it was devised at a point of time where which we are condemning many things. But I think the education system is nice, like in the sense, like the idea of is a Gurukula system relevant today? I want to know how it is relevant today. If it can be, if the relevance can be shown, maybe then I will get convinced. So let us see how you are able to explain the relevance to me. Because I am a teacher myself, I motivate students. I say that I tell my students that suicide or any life negativity is not the solution. And when they say it's competitive, I say take it as a game. Play it like a game. Take any stress out of it. And students seem to make sense of what I'm saying. So can somebody explain the relevance of that today? This is what I want to ask initially. I'll come back and give some other points down the line. Thank you.
One thing I can add, starting the Vakyartha Sadhas, is Gurukul is required for powerful cognitions. I'll share a little bit more of my initial take later on, but just after what Murliaya shared, one thing I can clearly see is, the logic which people are adopting. This is the cognitive shift Swamiji has made happen in me. And see the logic of today, right? Stress is the problem. So remove the stress. But the click I've been having is, stress is the problem. Removing the stress is not the solution. And the reason why it clicked like that, it is because stress is nothing but a form of pressure. Pressure is not wrong. Being powerless in front of pressure is wrong. Being powerful in front of pressure is right. Right, wrong, meaning like it is, it will expand you. Being powerless in front of pressure will shrink you. Being powerful in front of pressure will expand you. Swamiji was sharing how the seed of the banyan tree, once it is put in the ground, the pressure of the ground allows the seed to bloom. But if the seed gives up on itself, it will die. So Gurukul is all about having powerful cognitions so that you can relate to pressure in a powerful way and use that as a way for you to grow big and wide like a banyan tree and contribute and enrich people around you. So that's one thing I wanted to share about why the Gurukul. Because to have powerful cognitions, you need an enlightened master actually. Because only an enlightened being knows what powerful cognitions are. Unenlightened beings only know what positive thinking is, but positive thinking has nothing to do with powerful cognitions. So if you're not in a space where you have powerful cognitions, you're always going to be cherishing some form of powerlessness. So the Gurukul system, because it is rooted in Guru, And Guru, I mean, if he is enlightened, so naturally you'd be looking for an enlightened Guru. But an enlightened Guru will be able to transmit the powerful cognition, and the children will blossom from there. And so that is why Gurukul is necessary. No education system can give that, because education systems are not run by enlightened beings. They're run by people who run education systems. So Gurukul is required, because you need an enlightened Guru as the source of the transmission of these powerful cognitions. So that's one thing. Also, one thing to add, initially Reno-san was sharing about no need to reinvent. Everything it's time tested. Even me, when I was young, I grew up with the idea, even I used to tell my mother, oh, I'm going to be an inventor when I'm older. I'm going to be an inventor when I'm older. I had this fantasy, this vision. And I studied mechanical engineering for the sake of inventing. But after my degree, I realized I'm not inventing anything. I'm just calculating the size of shafts and energy and how to transmit energy from one place to another. I was like, this is not what I wanted. I want my money back, you know? So, so the thing is, Gurukul system is time tested. One other click I want to add into this before bringing it to a conclusion is Sanatana Hindu Dharma is Sanatana. It's eternal. But in today's world, a lot of people feel like, oh, it's eternal. You don't need to do anything. It's going to take care of itself. So the click I've been having about Sanatana, listening to what Swamiji has been sharing with all of us in Satsangs, is that Sanatana means it's eternal, but eternal, the way I cognize it, means it is always going to be there, but it might not be manifested. It might sit in the unmanifest. It is there, available in the unmanifest, but it might not be manifested. So we have to stand to allow it to remain in the manifested form. So we cannot just say, oh yeah, whatever is going to take care of itself, I don't need to do anything. No, you have to stand for it and make sure it prevails. It is sustained in the manifested existence in the world. Otherwise, it can disappear from the world. It cannot disappear from the universe, because that's from the principles of the universe, but it can disappear from the world. So we have to stand. And for that, reviving Gurukul is required, because like Reno-san was sharing, Gurukul is time tested. The only thing that needs to be done, and that is what avatars come and show us, is that it just needs to be molded to the current times without compromising on the integrity of the system. You just need to grasp the system and see how to mold it for the humans of the time in which you're living in. So this is why I feel that in today's world, we believe in laws. We run with laws, constitutions. This is one of the main things which is considered as real in today's world. So bringing political legitimacy to these systems is important, because it will speak the language that the world is speaking. And from there, we can start to talk about bigger vision, because if you're not speaking the language the world is speaking, the world is not going to listen to you. They're not going to understand what you're talking about. So that's why I feel that when Swamiji talks about political legitimacy, it's very important. Very important. Thank you.
Actually, just to add on to what Ashtosha had to say, it's actually not adding on, having a different opinion. Ashtosha had shared something about the definition of Sanatana. And so to me, I think the definition of Sanatana means, yes, what Ashtosha said was also correct. How just because the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, because Hindu Dharma will be Sanatana, will be internal, that doesn't mean that it can live by itself. So for me, I think the definition of Sanatana means the only way it will work. Sanatana means it's the only way it will work that way. And if you take, even the evolution of technology, the evolution of education, which has happened in the past, say some 500 or 400 years, ever since the modern era, or what we are calling the modern era, has started. All the evolution, all the people who have evolutionaries, the people who made the evolution happen, the be it inventors or be it people with scientific breakthroughs, all of them lived outside the grid, or the way of lifestyle was not the lifestyle of the grid. The way they functioned, everything was outside the grid, and that's why in their time many of them have been called mental patients. They have been called lunatics and fanatics and so many different things, but it is because of their hard work we are reaping the benefit of it right now. And that is because they live the lifestyle outside the grid, outside of what society and what of humanity has defined as how a lifestyle should be lived at the moment. And so Sanatana is not just something which will be eternal. Sanatana is the only way it can be taken forward. And that's why it's called Sanatana, because wherever you may go, you're going to come back to the same route. You can go around the same street 100 different million times, but finally you're going to end up at the same house. So I think Sanatana has more of that kind of a definition, where no matter what path you take, where you try to go in life, you're going to come back to the same route. So this is just a small click I had regarding the definition of Sanatana. And that pretty much applies in the education system as well. Even in our modern era, you just think of any person who you think has changed the way of technology or changed the way of science or the education system. All of them were lived outside the grid. All of them did not follow the conventional education method which we have at this moment. So to do something great in life, it's pretty obvious that you need to move out of the education system.
And it's even just one small thing wanted to add is even the kids today, they realize that they've seen, like, in the last 30 years so many things have evolved. The only thing which has not changed is the education system. Like, people are realizing that, like, not like people who are seekers and all that, just people who are just living the life and whatever. So that's a very straightforward thing. I mean, everything has evolved tremendously. The only thing which is still the same than 40 years ago is the education system. So definitely there is a blind spot.
Yeah, there's one click that's happening, sort of extending on the Sanatana and just the way the education system is going. So just to add on to what Ashutosh and Maharaj just shared, there's a click happening about the world and my world. Yesterday, we were having the Bhava Samadhi Darshan of Lord Muruga. And in this, the sessions leading up to it, we were sharing about the story of Ganesha and Muruga and how there was this race around the world. And then for Ganesha, he very strongly felt in my world that Paramashiva and Parashakti, his parents, are the whole world, everything that exists. And so he went around them because my world was in tune with the world. And so it wasn't just because my world is correct that I'm winning the race and all these things. No, it's not even winning the race. It's a totally different thing. But it's not just because of my world is true, because my world is in tune with the world. And same thing that's happening now, where all the different infrastructures in place, whether it's political infrastructure, medical infrastructure, educational infrastructure, they're all different ways of looking at what's the best way to do things. Because at the end of the day, everybody wants to try to do what's best for their society in whichever perspective it is. Whatever their interests are, they want to do the best for that. And so for each one, they're going in the direction of my world, my world, my world. And it's what brought us to different kinds of branches of education systems, different kinds of branches of politics, different kinds of branches of economies, different kinds of branches of healthcare systems, all these things. But Sanatana is something which exists in the world. It's the whole space where when the thing that's existing in the world, or I can say the other way, when my world, so the infrastructure you're putting in place, when this is in tune with the world, then it's lasting. It's the only thing that actually can last, because everything else, all the different my worlds, they're going to be leading up to something that aligns with the world. Because even if we can see with all the different infrastructures today, they're improving upon themselves. They're slowly improving upon themselves. Even through this COVID, it's brought in such a shaking where they're starting to see that, oh, you know what? No, we have to do things better so we can withstand the shaking. How can we make ourselves better? Like making my world better and better and better. Having more and more powerful cognitions until we can align our powerful cognitions to the powerful cognitions. How can we align our education system to the education system? The Sanatana is this space which is, it really is that alignment of my world and the world. This is the click that's happening here. And this is the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, where the whole Dharma itself is my world aligned to the world. That's why the ecosystem itself is enlightened. The ecosystem in and of itself is an enlightened ecosystem because my world, the my world of the ecosystem is in tune with the world ecosystem. Same way now with education system. Education system right now, there's like, even on the, I can say, there is the recognition that things need to change. And there is the recognition of how can we start changing things. And then slowly the change starts to pick up. And then maybe after 100 years or even 1,000 years, finally they come to a point where they realize, oh, you know what? No, now we're in a good place. Only to realize Sanatana Hindu Dharma has had this for how many thousands of years already? It's like this whole thing. There was this one story where there's this one, I think he was a king. He wanted to be the ruler of the mountain, the Mount Meru. And so he climbed the Mount Meru and he wanted to put his flag there, but he saw already hundreds of flags were there. This is exactly what's happening now, where with the education system, we're thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to make the best education. Like, I'm not talking about Gurukul system, I'm talking about the different education systems in place right now, which are aligned with my world, but not in tune with the world. Each one of these systems are thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to build the best education system. I'm going to build the best education system. I'm going to build the best education system in their own different way. And they're not really, I can say, they're not all aligned to the world. And so after 1,000 years, they reach a certain point and then they see that, oh, you know what? This education system is exactly like the Gurukul system of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Swamiji is also sharing about the Varnashrama Dharma, where if all the politicians, if all the world leaders came together and wanted to build a society which was completely life positive, inevitably they'll come to the Varnashrama Dharma, only to see that Varnashrama Dharma already exists in Hinduism. So why waste us time? Why waste so much time just to come back to what's already aligned, what we already have? So this is the main click about two things. One is why it's so important to stand for Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Because when we stand for Sanatana Hindu Dharma, we're making sure that the my world, which is aligned with the world, is always, I can say, it's always thriving. It's always available to the world. Whenever they're ready, they can pick it up, but it's always available. This is one thing. Second thing is, why waste so much time, hundreds of years, thousands of years, working, trying to develop a system which will eventually also align to the world when already one exists? Because that's what's going to happen actually if we don't align to Gurukul system. If we don't align to Sanatana Hindu Dharma. Because that's all that's going to happen is we're just going to spend hundreds of years, thousands of years trying to find a solution only to realize the solution's already existing. So this is just another click that's happening after the sharings.
But I'm feeling there's a danger, and the danger is that see the Gurukul system, Sanatana Hindu Dharma, Varnashrama Dharma, all of these systems were transmitted from Paramashiva to disciples, Guru to disciples, Guru to disciples, Guru to disciples. So the thing is that I don't think I see if when it is it happens from the space of receptivity. The person has to get into a space of receptivity and receive. So if Sanatana Hindu Dharma is available now and people are not receiving it, why would they receive it in 3 generations? it's not guaranteed that they will receive it in 3 generations. Because if that thought current is not there, and if people don't actively work to make Sanatana Hindu Dharma expand, then in front of the violence of the civilizations which are not aligned to the world, who are not aligned to the eternal truths and principle, that violence could wipe Sanatana Hindu Dharma. It's possible. So I feel that that's why it's such a, because when I was introduced to Sanatana Hindu Dharma by Swamiji, I saw that a lot, this feeling of like, oh yeah, well, it's eternal. So, I mean, it's almost like it's going to take care of itself, you know? So you don't have you don't actively work towards, seek and ferociously start to hold a higher vision and becoming active on that line. You continue to compromise on the principles, and you don't stand for integrity to these to the principles of Sanatana Hindu Dharma. So I feel that the only thing I want to bring forward is basically that, like, we have to be active about it. We cannot rest on the glory of Sanatana, you know? You cannot rest on the glory of Sanatana. You have to imbibe that glory and radiate it. Like, you cannot just watch it and just be there. You have to. Swamiji was sharing once, he was like, devotion means, making the words of the master into reality, not just being there in front of the master and gazing and just enjoying. Yeah, that's part of it. But it has to lead, the maturity has to happen where it starts to, the Swamiji says, you imbibe my powerful cognitions, you live my powerful cognitions, you become me. The powerful cognitions which are operating through me, these powerful cognitions operate through you. And that's how I understood it. So so I feel it's important to hold a vision and work towards aligning our lives to this activism to revive Sanatana Hindu Dharma.
Maharaj?
Yes, I can go ahead. Please go ahead.
See, many clicks actually are happening from Renotion and Shudasha here. Like initially what Shudasha had said, like it will not, something will never go away from this universe, but we have to take steps to manifest it, because otherwise it will remain in the unmanifest zone. And what Bangla Maharaj had said, like when I look at the word Sanatana, I understand that wherever you go, whatever you do, you'll ultimately land up here. That actually is a very strong statement, and I feel that it is a more practical way of saying it, or maybe Ashudha is saying that it's a more optimistic way of viewing it, because considering the kind of things we are thrust into today, I think we have to go do some activism. We have to manifest some activism to protect it, otherwise it will go into the unmanifest zone. So that is what I'll take it like. The question, why should we embrace the modern way of, why should we embrace the Gurukul way of life? Let me answer this stage by stage. Initially, let me start with what is the whole thing aimed at. See, the what we call as the modern education system was created by a person or a group of individuals who are actually vested interested. They wanted more slaves. They wanted more people who will just listen to them without any questions and just do what they did or what they were asked to do. So it is with that intent the present way of life education system was devised. So in that sense, this has to, from that understanding, if we see, this has to be phased out. So how is this Kailasa a better replacement? How is the Gurukula system better? Why is this better? How is this a good replacement? If we ask that, then we can understand what is the Gurukula system meant for. It is meant for enlightenment. What is this enlightenment? Actually knowing ultimately everything without actually physically, verbally studying anything at all. By your very existence, you know the whole universe, you know the whole world. Anything is that you see now. When we don't know today, what we do, we tend to go to Google. But what is Google? Google is only a search engine, and it only throws up what people had already uploaded there. Google is not a source of knowledge. It doesn't teach you anything. It only shows what people have already shared. And we don't know who is sharing anything correct about the whole world in any dimension of life. This is one thing many people must understand. Today we have Google. Yes, we have Google. But what is Google? Google is only search engine. And it is only showing what has been uploaded. It doesn't give you knowledge itself. This the modern generation doesn't understand. See, when I give them my lessons, actually I create my lessons for my students. When I teach the English language, being an English teacher, may recognize what I'm now saying, maybe relate to what I'm saying. See, when I teach them English grammar, when I teach them skills, they ask the first question many students come up with is, sir, from which website did you get this? Where do you get these lessons from? I just show like this. I didn't take it from anywhere. I don't copy from anywhere. Yes, maybe I refer some sites here and there, yes. But I don't copy from anywhere. I don't download from anywhere verbatim because I know the language myself. And it is through my knowledge and experience that I'm sharing. And only a very small number of students are even able to relate to that and appreciate that. They don't seem to understand how one can exist without Google. It is simply beyond their very imagination. How one can exist without knowing all these things. How one without using Google. They have gone to that extent to thinking. So this is the result of this is a pathetic result. What very pathetic result of the present education system, where people are forced to think. The younger generation is forced to believe that nothing can happen without Google. No. So why? So the modern education system has to be phased out because the very context, the purpose for which it was designed is not telling you what you need to know, but telling you what your employer or the people you're working for needs you to know or believe. So from that understanding, we have to phase it out. Another thing, another dimension is competition. See, what do I mean that I'm a first ranker? When I say I'm a first ranker, I mean that I'm better than 39, 40 other students in my class, the people who are studying with me. That's all. But what is my standard itself? I may score the first rank even when I'm scoring 60%, 70%, or even 80 or 90%, or even 100%. So that rank thing is a comparative study about where I stand with relation to others. But why should this happen? Because this ranking is not going to decide my life, or rather, why should it decide my life? Just because I'm better than 39 others or 40 others in my who are studying with me, it doesn't make me a great individual. It doesn't It doesn't empower me to face life, live life in its fullest dimension. Am I equipped to live life itself? No. And this is one dimension. Another thing, the next dimension I will say is this idea of specialization. We are dissecting more here. The Western education, the modern way of education is more and more dissecting, more and more so-called specializing in some field. Like even as a language trainer, I can say there is something called phonetics, semantics, syntactics, linguistics. There are so many fields even inside language itself, which so that it's going more and more crazy. But it is good to be knowledgeable, in depth in some field, yes, but that should not be the deciding factor to understand how much one person knows or one capable of. So to put people into some niche that he is the phonetic specialist or that sort of thinking itself is only creating a very narrow, shallow awareness of knowledge as a whole. Because in the name of specialization, we don't get to understand the whole idea, and that is not creating any better individuals out of us. Whereas the Gurukula system is all about integrating. We are made to look at life as a whole. We are made to look at everybody as a whole, and every manifest, everything that is manifest, everybody that is manifest is a part of that whole. So when you understand something is a part of whole, you tend to be more compassionate. When you dissect, you are more critical. When you integrate, you are more compassionate, you are more understanding and empathetic towards what you see, what you are able to perceive in the world. That is a very big quality. So in that sense, I think Kailasa's way of looking at the education system is necessary. Okay. This brings me to another dimension. Now, how do you look at everything as a whole? Now, Gurukula is a place where you go and stay with the Guru to study. Which means what? You don't just listen to what the Guru is verbally saying to pass some exam. You learn from the Guru even by observing what he's doing, how he's living his life. You learn from observing the Guru's way of life itself. Now, this doesn't happen in the Meghalaya education system. What we call as day scholar today, you just listen to what the teacher tells you for the sake of passing some examination. But in the Gurukula system, you actually learn from the Guru even by being at the being level. And this also is a powerful way to know how to live life. See, we have this. This actually is taken care of, so-called taken care of in the modern education system, which gives you moral instruction classes, where again the Guru only tells you what to do, but you never learn by being. You never learn it practically. But in a Gurukula system, the Guru not only tells you something, he also lives his way of life in a particular way. So you learn from the Guru as a whole, and moral education is learned implicitly, intrinsically, rather than through just verbal instructions as one more subject. So when you look at the Guru and you imbibe the values totally, then the meaning of that, the impact on that in a young mind is definitely different. And so all these dimensions put together make a Gurukul system really ideal, or at least much better than what the modern education system is providing, because all we learn, whatever we learn, is only for passing an exam. It is not for life as a whole. That is, Gurukul system is not aimed at making you better money makers. It is aimed at making you better individuals in life. So that is what is a very profound point, I will say, and that is why we need to revive that. Like we have to understand that. As Magla Maharaj was saying, the Gurukul system is aimed at, it says, the statement Gurukula system is making is, whatever you try out, whichever route you take, you ultimately end up only here. So that is Sanatana. That is what Sanatana means. And of course, in the modern times, when people are all out to eradicate the system, we have to ensure, we have to manifest some activism to keep it in the manifest zone itself. But it's a kind of mixed thing. So these are the dimensions for which I will bat for the modern Gurukul system. And thanks to Swamiji for bringing up this dimension also in life. And we need to do all whatever we can to support it and manifest it in its biggest glory. Thank you.
Yes.
Somebody was asking something, and maybe I can answer the person. I didn't understand what that person was asking.
Actually, before we continue with the Vakyartha Sadhas, I want to share a few words about the Paramashivam program. And one of the best ways to actually get introduced to the Gurukula way of teaching is through the Paramashivam program. It's So Paramashivam program is basically an orientation about Hinduism itself. And to get an introduction to Gurukul, the best way I feel is to get an introduction to Hinduism itself. To get oriented through Hinduism, the correct orientation into Hinduism through the Paramashivam program. To know more details about the Paramashivam program, you can visit nithyananda.paramashivoham.org. Let's now watch a short video regarding the Paramashivam program. Please stay tuned.
The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee.
Yes, we're back. So we've almost come to the end of today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Before we conclude, I'd just like to go around and share a final thought currents, final words, final powerful cognition which we are leaving the Vakyartha Sadhas with. And I think the biggest click which I have got in the Vakyartha Sadhas was the understanding of the word Sanatana. And we can allow humanity to go ahead and continue on its royal path. It'll go up, go out, down, and it'll go all around in all different circles, in all different dimensions, in all different ways. But finally, it is going to adapt some or the other form of the existing Gurukula system, which was being practiced so many thousands of years ago. Either we can allow humanity to continue doing the trial and error method, or we can help them, support them, make them understand how the Gurukula system is so fundamentally is the only education system, only where education can even happen. Making them understand that and share this powerful cognition with them as well. So this is my final takeaway from today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Ashutosh, maybe you can go ahead and share your final takeaway from today's Vakyartha Sadhas.
Yeah, the powerful cognition which is happening is pretty simple. What is the only thing that matters in life is for you to be able to handle life. What is the only thing which is consistent throughout your life is you. So mastering you is the way to master life, because in every moment of your life you will be there. So Gurukul is the the space and the science of powerful cognitions which allow you to learn how to handle yourself, how to master yourself. Not mastering engineering, not mastering language, not mastering finance. All these things might be useful for some fraction of your existence, but your fraction is not enough. You need 100%. 100% is you. So learning how to master yourself is the purpose of Gurukul. So that is my final take. So that is why Gurukul is so important, because that's the only thing which mastering yourself is the only thing that actually matters for you to be able to handle life.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashutosh. Roshan, why don't you go ahead and share next? Your final takeaway, your conclusion from today's Vakyartha Sadhas.
Yes, the click happening here, the powerful cognition that's happening is this thing of being available. Because even now, as the sharings were happening, as the cognitions were being shared, the click happened that here in Canada, there's a lot of these things, basically Tamil classes. There's like weekend Tamil classes where parents send their kids to these classes, and basically we just learn about like normal Tamil language, learning the language and all these things. But as part of the language, we start learning about the Tamil culture, why Tamil, all these things. And like basically as a ripple effect of this is as soon as people start to see, oh, Tamil classes are available, the need to keep the Tamil culture alive is awakened. And so with that, the classes become more and more active. With that, the classes start to multiply. With that, the recognition of the classes and the importance of the classes, just by seeing basically the mass amount of numbers that are being active with this, then it becomes actually recognized even politically. So in this same way, the space of Gurukul is the space of basically making yourself available. This is the clip that's happening here. As soon as you make the space of Gurukul available, then the urgency to keep Gurukul alive starts to happen. This thing of, how to say, protecting the Sanatana starts to awaken. The realization that we have to stand for Sanatana Hindu Dharma, that we have to stand for Gurukul, that we have to do something. As soon as the availability starts to open up, as soon as the world starts to see, oh, it's actually available. We can enroll our kids. We can make it happen. As soon as that starts to happen, then the whole thing becomes multiplied. But yes, the main click that's happening here is the first and foremost thing to start really making, I can't even say start because it's already happened and it's happening. But the main important thing is making ourselves available, because once that starts to happen, then the fruit starts to happen, then the life starts. So this is the main click from here.
Yes, thank you so much, Anoshan. Mulya, please go ahead and share your final takeaway from today's Vakyartha.
Yeah, one major takeaway from here is this: the way Sanatana, the word Sanatana was looked at. I liked what Ashutosh had said and what Mangala had said. I like both the dimensions actually. How whether to look at it as a manifest, ensuring that it always remains in the manifest zone. That's one thing, and also saying that, implying that whatever you do or whatever you believe, ultimately it is this that will work and it will stay. So these things, and why we need thing is it is the ambience, it is the purpose for which the Gurukula system that was designed, the purpose for which this way of life, this way of education system is designed, that is really matters. The idea of see, when we actually feel fulfilled, when we are living, when we are flowering at our own pace, this idea of when we are allowed to flower at our own pace in our own way, then this idea of life negativity, suicidal tendencies, all that will not be there. So it is for that we need this ambience of Gurukul system. So this is what I will say as a part of my final takeaway. So we do need to see how this goes, and we have to be for Swamiji in all his endeavors in reviving this. So this is what I want to say in the end. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ayab. So with this, we've come to the end of today's Vakyartha Sadhas. I'd like to sincerely thank all our panelists. I'd like to thank Shri Ashutosh, Anoshan, Mulya. Thank all of you for coming today and being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. With this, it's time to prepare ourselves to receive Swamiji for the Nitya Satsang. Sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Bring your awareness into your Ananda Gandha. And close your eyes. Visualize Swamiji sitting there in your Ananda Gandha as Paramashiva with the 25 heads and 50 hands. Now, allowing the Mahavakya mantra to reverberate throughout your body, start chanting Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Nithyananda Paramashiva.